Hello everybody, Random Guy 13 here on my now empty and vacant void of a layout room. Yeah, everything's just been shelved. Season 1 was some of my first videos. I kind of explain the history of my series. Here I got my notes, and I'll explain it better than Season 1 did, and also just talk about the past of my Sodor, not the actual Sodor. This isn't reading between the lines. Okay, so we're starting off in the 1880s, 1890s, around the time, with so they're building the railways around this time with the first Sir Tom Hutt, and Rupert was on the scene. Now I know this isn't the Rupert. So originally, in the episode they showed up in the flashback, Rupert was the silver custom I did, but originally I intended him to be this generic Brio steam locomotive. It's not actually generic. It's I don't know why it says agile on it, but basically he helped build the railways, and he was essentially the number -1, or he was the first engine not to be numbered because he just helped build out. Then you got Beatrice, who was the original #1, not Glynn, because I can't make a Glynn custom, but Beatrice is the original #1 in my series. So right now, Rupert pulls the freight, Beatrice pulls the passengers. Then Edward was employed as the express engine. So Edward, after being bought from the Furness Railway, Edward pulls the express, so it's passengers, freight, shunting. And then then with the new money they made, Sodor had made an experimental engine, Henry. It's my old shape Henry custom. So Henry, essentially, they did a custom build, and it kind of failed miserably. He was supposed to pull the heavy freight, but he was plagued with technical issues. So that's the first era. Okay, so next up is the 1920s, or the Roaring 20s, as the hipsters are saying these days, yo. Essentially, what happened was they got Gordon as the express engine. Also, they got Jimothy and Thomas, who's in his LBSC livery, and then also Henry then gets his crash and gets rebuilt. So also around this time, there's also the narrow gauge railway. So that's what's going on right now. Okay, so now it's time for the Great Depression, or the Big Sad, if you want to call it that. So during this time, there's massive, the railway stocks go way down. So Rupert, Beatrice, sold. The narrow gauge railway shut down and sold. Thomas becomes the new #1, and also these three guys go on strike, so they get Percy. And then these guys are like, wait, no, we're work. And then also, because his line's shutting down, the Sodom gets Toby for essentially free. That is the Great Depression. Okay, so now it's time for the 1960s. The only thing that's really changed in all that time was that you got these two. So you got Duck and Oliver. And I don't have Donald and Douglas, but they would be here if I did have them. So then the British Railway sends over a bunch of diesels because of the Modernization Act, and they think they're about to replace them, but then they're like, no, we prefer steam engines because we're racist against diesels. So then they get really angry, and then it's time for Season 1. Okay, so during Season 1, the diesels are like, we hate all of you, we're gonna take over, time for war, this means war. And which is quite controversial, because, engines can't really declare wars at the drop of a hat, but they're fighting now, and that means that they don't get the help of the diesels, and now there's constant chaos and destruction. So they're like, but then the engines go like, So then they're losing, and they're like, no, let me get my big brother, who also happens to be an ancient incarnation of evil. So then he's like, so then they're like, ouch, and these can come over and say, hey, can you maybe chill? And they're like, we'll scrap you. No, we'll save you, sir. So then these guys plan sneak attack. They punch though that was actually a sneak attack. Sorry, that was dead wrong. Henry came up with a sneak attack, and that's important. So, then, what was it? Oh yes. So then they build a giant robot, and then they take it down. And these guys are put in timeout or jail, and then they escape. And then they take Henry, and they force him to make a weapon idea for because he's a genius because he came up with a sneak attack. So then Henry escapes after being like. After giving them the big bomb, and they're like, hey everyone, we gotta leave, the whole island is toast. So everyone leaves, and the whole railway blows up, and the diesels vanish without a trace. And then, yeah, this blank slate for season 2. So yeah, that's about it. This is essentially a filler video until I can get more things done. I'm doing a remake of the episode Steamroller, and yeah, that's about it. If you have any video ideas, put them in the comments below, because I'm waiting. It's kind of an awkward gap between season 2 and the remakes I'm planning on doing, so, you know, hit me up. So yeah, I made this one bit at the end in case you're wondering why I published this video. It's mostly just because, what was it? There are some things I need to clarify, because I didn't explain them as well in season 1. I had to cut them, but they were crucial. I thought they were important enough to the plot, so I wanted to go back and do a bit of a retcon of sorts. So that's the only reason this whole train wreck's going up. Pun definitely intended. Alright.